And we're back in the garden this morning. Good to have you back in this morning, Dabney.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to you as well. And I have to admit, I got everything pretty much planned on my patio now. I got the tomatoes, I got the flowers, I got the herbs, so I'm ready to go. And I need your help with those tomatoes. So after we're done with this, I got to get a few tips on how making sure I don't destroy them in a week.
Okay, yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah, but I mean, we have warmer temperatures now. What's kind of the recommendation going ahead now for a lot of us?
Well, you know, it's spring planting, and of course the weather's still cool, and days like today you might as well visit the garden center because it's going to be kind of hard to get out and do a lot of planting, but it's a great day for shopping. And the one nice thing when we have late Easters, we have late springs, and what happens is you're going to find, and you probably noticed this too, a little bit better quality of plants available in the garden centers due to the fact growers are on a time schedule and they can't fluctuate quite as easily. So things are a little bit more mature, showing a little bit more color as I brought this nice geranium along. So, you know, lots of good color to shop for, and plants look great right now because of the cool weather. Yes.
Okay, we have a first caller here, Susie in Virginia Beach. Good morning. What's your question for Dabney?
My question is, we have oleanders that are very, very brown. How far back should I cut them and when?
Now's the time to cut them back, and you want to cut back at least to green wood. A lot of plants were burned this winter, and oleander was a perfect example of that. Hopefully you're not going to have to cut back maybe but about a third, but cut back till you see green wood, and then if you say, well, I'd like to get them a little bushier, cut back a little further if you want to. But now's the time to do it. And keep in mind, too, the more severely we prune, the more important it is to fertilize to rejuvenate that growth and get it to break dormancy and start growing.
One other thing too, Dabney, if you have a large garden bed, let's say in your backyard or your front yard, what should you be doing to that soil right now this time of year? Should you start putting like different type of fertilizer in it, or what?
Well,
exactly?
if you're doing a new bed, one that you haven't had before, then we want to, what I have as a good guideline, per 100 square feet, which is 10 by 10, mix in, say, 1 to 2 cubic foot of compost and 1 cubic foot of peat moss. That prepares the bed for planting. Now, those beds we've used before, then we can forego the peat moss, but we want to mix in compost every season when we plant. If you're doing a vegetable garden, we do a little extra for that. Again, for a new bed on a vegetable garden, per 100 square feet, again, 1 to 2 cubic foot of compost, 1 cubic foot of peat moss, but then also put in about 5 pounds of lime. And notice I'm not saying about fertilizer. I prefer just to fertilize where I plant. The problem is if you fertilize the whole bed and your plants are 1 foot, 2 foot apart, then whatever weed seeds blow in between them, you're going to feed them, and then you're going to have that many more weeds.
Yeah,
so I prefer just to feed around the plant. And of course, you can use chemical or organic, whichever your preference.
Okay, we have one more caller from Virginia Beach. Good morning. What's your question for Dabney?
I'm calling in regards to a peach tree that we cannot get. It produces a lot of peaches, but they get spots on them and then they fall off before they're even edible.
Fruit trees in general, you have to get on a rigorous spray program. Once your fruit sets in the spring, which on peaches, they may have already set fruit or within the next week or two, you need to do on a spray program. And generally what I recommend is to spray every 10 to 14 days with a complete product. And a complete product means something that has an insecticide and a fungicide as well. You can buy natural products or you can buy a chemical, but you want to spray every 10 to 14 days for 5 applications. 90% of all the problems that we get in the fruit later occur while the fruit's developing. So that's why we spray real frequently at the beginning of the season. Now, peaches you would start and you would end earlier than, say, apples, because apples are going to be a little later set fruit. So on each type of fruit you're growing, it's that once the fruit forms, 10 to 14 days for 5 applications. And after that, just spray if you happen to see something. But I think you'll find you'll get a much cleaner fruit, given that we have good weather conditions for peaches.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for the tips this morning, Dabney. We got a lot of tips as we get closer and closer to the summertime. We'll have more tips again with Dabney on wavy.com. We'll be back with another check of weather after the break.